Hey everyone, Tony Winston here, doing Red Garland's solo very slowly on the song A Foggy Day. And this is the second chorus. I previously did a video that is the first chorus, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the second chorus. So some things that happen here, there's lots of triplets. And, I picked the solo because I thought that, I kind of play in this style when I'm soloing. But, there's a lot of difference between Red Garland and me, obviously. And one thing I noticed is he uses triplets a little bit more than I do, inserting them into a line of regular eighth notes. Like a lot of times I'll do something like, with just that one triplet starting it off. But he would do something more like, he inserts the triplet into his lines in a kind of a neat way. A lot of times they come on beat 1, sometimes they come on beat 2, on beat 4. Are there any on beat 3 in there? Well, yeah, there's one right there. Okay, so we start off with a nice little blues run. Now it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 notes in it, and he repeats that, but we're in 4/4 time, so that means it's going to shift in the bar. It starts off 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and then he goes off into a little triplet and continues the line. But this is a very common thing. Art Tatum does it a lot too. And, if you use something like 5 notes, it'll offset even in a stranger way. Just those notes, maybe. So, the idea about practicing a transcribed solo is not to learn it note for note and use it on the gig or anything like that, but it's to get a sense of how the other person approaches soloing and their feel for it. And so I noticed that, Red Garland kind of jumps around a little bit more than I do, being more of a classical trained musician, sort of. I tend to connect everything and keep everything nice and neat. And he has an idea and then jumps, to a different spot and kind of continues on. It's amazing. So anyway, here we go. Now, you see the chord symbols up there say A7 for this chord, but that's not A7. That's like, C, and then a diminished chord going to D minor. So the D7 is also wrong. And then he switches to like a D7, where it says D minor. It really should be D7. And then G. So don't take the chord symbols too literally on some of these transcriptions. If you're wondering why doesn't the melody or the scale of the improv fit the chord, it's because the improviser was not thinking of that chord. So, all right, picking up on now the next line, 2, 3, 4, 1. And you notice he puts these left-hand chords, little stabs, usually on the and of a beat. 1 and 2, 3, 4, and 1. That's quite a long line. Let's take a look at it. We got C major 7th. This time it is an A 7th. And I put little notes to myself what finger to start with, so I don't know if that's how he did it, but it works for me, starting with 3. So 1, 2, 3. And there, it says D7, but once again it could be D minor because he's playing D minor. Like that, Now, I thought this measure was very interesting because look at the scale that he's using on this G altered chord. And this is a G7 altered, really for the whole measure, not that D minor 7th there. All All right, there's the flat 9 and the flat 13, along with the 7th and the 3rd. And, an altered dominant like this is kind of like using the tritone substitution, right? There's a D flat, 7th, 9th, not altered, right? The 9th is just a regular 9, just with a G in the bass, the tritone substitution. So, when we're learning jazz in the beginning, we say G7, we play the Mixolydian mode. It has the flat 7 here. So why not use D flat Mixolydian, which is just the D flat major scale, with B, maybe you should call that C flat, but this note instead of the major 7th. So that's what he's doing here. He's using the Mixolydian mode in D flat. Right, it's just a D flat major scale with the 7th there, flat 7, and then all the notes of the D flat major scale. It works out great. Check it out. And then here we are into C7th. And, I don't know how to get my fingers around this. I kind of thought they'd go like this and then just jump to this one. And this is what I mean. He kind of jumps around. I would never naturally play that run because I would run out of fingers and wouldn't know what to do. Or I'd try some classical way and that would just not feel right. But I think maybe what he might have done was something like that. And just practicing little pieces like this, you'd be surprised. Do it 4 or 5 times like that, and the next time you take a solo, when you get to a little area like that, your fingers just might go there without you even realizing it. So that time, I was just there and then went like that. So I don't know how he did it. That feels pretty natural to me. F7 now, F major 7th. Now that's just a passing tone, but right, he could have been thinking F7. I'm not sure about the E flat there. It just sounds good. I don't know. That's typical stuff on a B flat dominant chord, unaltered. I know it says sharp 11, but ignore that. It doesn't really apply here. Right, passing tone there, and then it's that scale. Enclosures like that. Right, we're going up to G and then enclosing that, and then there's another triplet right in the middle of the line, which is something I just don't do enough of. No. And then I like those 2 quarter notes there. It just, I don't know, sounds good. 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 1, 2, 2. That it's still some of that Woody Woodpecker stuff, And here, once again, here's that D flat Mixolydian over a G7 altered, and they do have the. I like this, the flat 13. So many times now you see that as the sharp 5, but we're not talking about an augmented chord here. We're talking about G7 with a flat 13. It's the same as a sharp 5, but you think of it differently when you think flat 13. At least I do. And once again, there's that D flat major scale with the flatted 7th of D flat. A7th. Now here we get to the blues. 1, 2, 3, 5, da 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 da. Right, blues. Right, it's like the minor pentatonic there. It doesn't have the blue note right in there, but it's blues. Da 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 da. that is D7 this time. And I think back in the first chorus, he does something just like that. And once again, third time, here's that D flat Mixolydian scale. Or at least part of it. And there are two triplets in a row, very nice. So it's nice how he intersperses some short lines with these really long ones where he puts in a few triplets and things like that. So just looking at this last line again, D minor does not seem right because he's not comping with that. He's comping with the G7 there. So G altered, right? G dominant seventh with altered tensions. So we've got, yeah, that's pretty nice, It kind of seems like he's already thinking about the C7 there, because that's like the sharp 11 of a C7th chord. Or it could be like G minor with a major seventh, really the same kind of thing. You can overanalyze this shit, believe me, so, don't try to analyze every note. I cannot get those triplets in. Yeah, sometimes just having a real loose kind of hand to get you to where you need to be. And once again, little spots. You're not going to take a whole 3-bar, 4-bar riff and try to use that in one of your solos. But if you use these little elements, something like that maybe, that could work its way into your solo and be unique and authentic to you. You have to do these things your way. To be a real player, you can't just copy. You can copy a little bit, but then you've got to work on incorporating those ideas into your own ideas. Make it your own. And then he just does the turnaround. In this song, there's like an extra 2 measures of turnaround, and here's the last one. So that's E flat 7th, D 7th, not D minor, G 7th altered, but it's easier to think of that as just D flat. So we're just going chromatically here. E flat, D, D flat, C. And that is a cycle of fifths turnaround. It's exactly the same as going 1, 6, 2, 5, 1, sub for the 6, right? Tritone sub for the 6, 2, and then D flat, tritone sub for that. And, so when you're going chromatically, you're going through the cycle of fifths. You really are. Now, if you want this transcription, my kind of stolen version of it is down there in the description. Feel free to print it out, or look for the video of the fellow who actually transcribed this and sells a copy of it. And, I'm not going to take any more from his site and give it out for free. So, if you're interested in more transcribed solos, his channel has a lot of solos like this on there.